There is a little known truth. People who possess intelligence in the top 2% of the world rarely wake up feeling like a winner. They don't look in the mirror and call themselves a genius. Instead, they often carry a sense of alienation, as if they are living in a world not entirely meant for them. Society always teaches us that a high IQ is a golden ticket to success and happiness. But is that really true? Or behind this seemingly perfect advantage, are there hidden corners that very few people understand? In this video, we will dissect the truth based on modern psychological perspectives to explore what truly happens inside the minds of exceptionally intelligent people. If you have ever felt different or simply want to understand more deeply the nature of intelligence and life, stay until the end of the video because the ending may make you see yourself in a completely new way. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss valuable content like this. For minds belonging to the top 2% of intelligence, the world never passes by simply. Instead of a sense of comfort or relaxation when starting a new day, they often wake up with a feeling of standing on the edge of reality, observing everything without fully belonging to it. Their minds rarely rest. It is like a machine continuously analyzing, replaying past events, predicting future outcomes, and questioning the meaning behind every experience. While most people live comfortably with relatively simple decisions and events, exceptionally intelligent individuals are often trapped in a constant internal storm where thoughts, perceptions, and analyses endlessly swirl around them. This leads to a very unique inner experience, isolation, a strange feeling of standing outside the relationships and spaces that others seem to belong to. Intelligent children rarely see life as simple as their peers do. They often perceive many possibilities, scenarios, and outcomes more than others, making even ordinary interactions a complex chain of analysis. From an early age, society has conveyed a simple message. Intelligence is the greatest advantage, a golden ticket to success, admiration, and happiness. Yet, the reality is much more complex. In psychology, people with an IQ of around 130 or higher are considered geniuses. They process information faster, grasp abstract ideas more easily, and connect concepts that others might miss. This advantage leads many to believe they will easily overcome challenges, achieve success, and personal fulfillment. But the truth is that intelligence does not only help solve problems faster, it completely changes how their brains interact with the surrounding world. An intelligent person does not just see solutions, they see complexity, contradictions, and countless possible outcomes in every situation. And this superior awareness sometimes becomes a burden. Highly cognitively capable individuals often experience the world through multiple layers of meaning hidden beneath the surface. A situation that seems simple to an average person can become a complex chain of assumptions, analyses, and predictions for an intelligent person. The ability to recognize patterns, detect contradictions, and understand hidden human motivations allows them to quickly see weaknesses in arguments, inconsistencies in social behaviors, or the fragile structures that keep a system intact. Initially, this is an advantage, helping them make better decisions and act intelligently. But over time, this deep awareness can create a psychological burden, making everything feel heavier, more uncomfortable, and at times leading to analysis paralysis. One of the most prominent traits of superior intelligence is the high need for cognition, an almost biological intrinsic drive to think, analyze, and explore complex ideas. While average people use thinking as a tool when needed, intelligent individuals often live in a state of continuous thought. They cannot turn off the internal machine. Even when a conversation ends or an event passes, their brains continue to analyze, replay, and question. A single moment can be seen from multiple perspectives, and each perspective opens up a new chain of thoughts. This sometimes makes them feel unable to integrate, as most of society lives with much simpler narratives and interpretations. The ability to predict, simulate the future, and recognize potential risks helps intelligent people solve problems excellently. However, it also creates a downside. When seeing too many possibilities and outcomes, they can fall into overanalysis, making decisions difficult and delaying action. The intelligent mind can trap itself in endless loops of thought, from prediction to doubt, from observation to evaluation, never truly stopping. This intellectual power, in many cases, becomes their greatest challenge. Superior awareness also brings a subtle curse: the ability to notice contradictions, hidden motivations, and gaps in social systems and human behavior. While most people can filter out complex details to live more comfortably, intelligent individuals rarely can ignore them. They see layers of meaning others do not, weaknesses others overlook, and absurd situations others accept. This understanding is both an advantage and a burden. It allows them to analyze accurately, but also makes them prone to loneliness, anxiety, and mental fatigue. Moreover, the intrinsic drive to constantly explore and analyze makes it difficult for them to enjoy simplicity, quiet moments, and serenity. While others may temporarily set aside worries and relax, intelligent individuals continue to run their thought machine, reflecting on the past, predicting the future, and questioning everything happening around them. This is why the smartest people in the room are often the loneliest, as they live in a world that only a small portion of others can understand or empathize with. Therefore, intelligence does not automatically lead to success, happiness, or personal fulfillment. It brings a depth of mental experience that few can imagine, while also posing very real psychological challenges. High awareness, superior analytical ability, and a strong need for cognition give exceptional minds both extraordinary power and the burden of inner challenges that average people rarely face. Understanding this, we realize that intelligence is a gift, but also a responsibility, a journey both full of potential and complexity, which only those who truly possess it can fully comprehend. For many individuals with exceptional intelligence, life is not simply about seeing, hearing, or experiencing in the way most people do. Instead, they often perceive layers of meaning hidden behind every event, from social mechanisms to personal relationships. When intelligence allows them to notice details others overlook, while simultaneously exposing imperfect systems, this can lead to a persistent state of skepticism. Simple stories about how the world works, the comfortable assumptions that people usually believe, gradually become difficult to accept. Intelligence, in this way, is both a gift and a challenge. It brings profound awareness, but also removes a layer of comforting illusion that ordinary people can maintain. Polish psychologist Kazimierz Droski provided an important perspective on this phenomenon. Through decades of studying talented individuals, he discovered that people with exceptional intelligence not only think more deeply, but also experience the emotional world far more intensely. He named this phenomenon overexcitabilities, describing a heightened sensitivity of the nervous system, where some individuals respond more strongly than normal to internal and external stimuli. When their psychological switch is turned to the highest level, their inner life becomes vivid, but they are also easily overwhelmed by the intensity of emotions and awareness. Drosky identified 5 types of overexcitabilities commonly found in gifted individuals. First is intellectual overexcitability: endless curiosity, a desire to understand how everything works, and a continuous questioning that rarely leaves them satisfied with superficial explanations. Second is emotional overexcitability. They experience joy, sadness, anger, or empathy with much greater intensity. These emotions can bring deep empathy, but can sometimes also be overwhelming and exhausting. Third is imaginational overexcitability, a vivid inner world with rich visual imagination, with scenarios and dreams and daydreams constantly forming and evolving. Fourth is sensory overexcitability. Light, sound, crowded, or chaotic environments can become overwhelming. Finally, fifth is psychomotor overexcitability, expressed through surplus mental and physical energy, from rapid speech and continuous movement to intense bouts of excitement. When these 5 factors combine, the result is a mind that experiences life with extreme intensity. Beauty can astonish them, but suffering, conflict, and injustice can also overwhelm them proportionally. An important consequence of these traits is extreme perfectionism. Initially, this may appear as an advantage, the ability to set high standards and pursue excellence. However, for many talented individuals, perfectionism becomes an invisible psychological trap. Exceptional imagination allows them to envision ideal outcomes clearly: a perfect project, a perfect relationship, an optimal career path. But reality rarely meets these visions. When the gap between the ideal and reality appears, feelings of disappointment arise, and achievements considered successful by others may sometimes feel like unfortunate compromises in their eyes. This feeling can foster persistent anxiety, described psychologists as gifted exhaustion. A person once considered a genius may begin to feel unbearable pressure from expectations, both external and self imposed. The fear of missing out on potential becomes a silent yet intense source of worry. Ironically, the very ability to see extraordinary potential also makes them acutely aware of failures or shortcomings, even minor ones. This is a distinct burden that intelligence brings, not because they lack capability, but because they always feel insufficient, always with more to achieve. Another challenge comes from social communication gaps. Highly cognitively capable individuals often struggle to fit into ordinary interactions. When thinking styles differ too much from others, simple social conversations about the weather, TV shows, or daily trivialities can become tiring and empty. They crave discussions about deeper questions, philosophy, science, models of human behavior, or complex psychological theories. When these needs are unmet, they may feel alienated, even lonely in a crowd. To adapt, many begin to hide their natural way of thinking, simplify their language, and avoid discussing complex ideas. This strategy aids social integration, but the subtle sense of isolation persists, sometimes quietly within the inner self. In this context, the experience of loneliness is not merely being alone, but the feeling of being misunderstood or not empathized with. It arises from profound differences in thinking and perception, leading to existential depression, a state unlike ordinary depression, stemming from deep questions about existence, meaning, and the nature of life. Existential depression is not the result of loss or daily stress, but comes from the ability to see the complex and contradictory layers of the world that others rarely notice. Thus, exceptional intelligence brings an astonishing wealth of awareness, but at the same time presents significant psychological challenges, from the burden of expectations, pressure of perfection, to social isolation and existential depression. Understanding this helps us realize that intelligence is not a ticket to easy success or absolute happiness. It is a journey full of potential, yet also complex, where profound awareness always comes with mental challenges that only extraordinary minds can fully experience. When exceptional intelligence emerges, it often brings people closer to profound questions of existence that most of society avoids. These topics, the fragility of civilization, the inevitability of death, the vast scale of the universe, or the possibility that life has no clear objective meaning, often become long-term companions in the minds of extraordinary individuals. Unlike most people, these individuals do not merely reflect on daily work or social relationships, but are intensely drawn to abstract philosophical questions and hidden patterns in the universe. This is not merely an intellectual hobby. It is a natural way for them to understand the world around them and position themselves within it. Thoughts about the purpose of life, the nature of suffering, and what truly matters in the grand scheme of the universe often never leave their minds. These are not fleeting questions, but persistent streams of reflection that frequently shape how they perceive everyday experiences. Even seemingly mundane tasks like paying bills, completing repetitive work, or participating in ordinary social rituals can feel meaningless or alien because their minds are preoccupied with far greater existential concerns. In these moments, profound awareness of life's complexity can cause discomfort, even unease, because the clearer one sees, the harder it is to attain comfort and ease. Living with exceptional intelligence means accepting silent internal paradoxes. One such paradox is the ability to understand excessively but feel powerless to change it. A sharp analytical mind can see flaws in social systems, recognize irrational patterns in human behavior, and predict the long-term consequences of decisions. However, recognizing these problems does not equate to having the power or tools to fix them. The gap between understanding and the ability to act creates a quiet, persistent sense of frustration that only extraordinary minds truly experience. The second paradox is high emotional sensitivity, yet difficulty expressing it outwardly. Intelligent people not only experience emotions deeply, they often struggle to convey these complex inner experiences with ordinary language. The words available in typical social communication are sometimes too limited to express their rich emotions and nuanced thoughts. This is why many intelligent individuals find it challenging to connect with those around them, even when they genuinely want to share and understand others. The third paradox is the ongoing conflict between seeking profound meaning and existing in ordinary reality. They desire to contribute something meaningful to the world, but reality still requires them to engage in everyday tasks, paying bills, fulfilling work responsibilities, complying with social obligations. This contradiction causes constant psychological tension, a form of stress most people rarely experience. It requires the genius intellect to balance exploring the depths of thought while maintaining stability in real life existence. However, possessing exceptional intelligence is not always a lifelong burden. The greatest challenge often does not come from analytical ability, but from social isolation. When these individuals feel misunderstood, out of sync, or disconnected from others, their minds can easily retreat inward, sometimes in unhealthy ways. In moments of solitude, they are prone to cycles of reflection, worry, and self questioning. But everything can change when they find a like minded community, a tribe of intellect consisting of people who think deeply, enjoy exploring difficult questions, and share a passion for knowledge. When they are among those on the same wavelength, experiences that once felt alien can become sources of deep connection. Intelligence, when placed in the right environment, becomes a powerful tool for curiosity, creativity, and meaningful contribution. Profound awareness is no longer a burden, but an asset for understanding, interacting, and creating value. This connection allows them to transform internal challenges into motivation for growth and exploration. It is important to recognize that this experience is not limited to extraordinary individuals. Many of us have felt alienated, overthinking, or overwhelmed by questions larger than ourselves. However, the way genius minds approach it provides a lesson. Connecting with people who share the same wavelength of thought and emotion can transform loneliness into companionship and turn intelligence into a tool for living more fully in a complex world. If you find these experiences familiar, you are not alone. Profound awareness, intense emotions, and superior thinking ability are a natural part of personal development. We can learn to manage them, seek suitable communities, and transform psychological paradoxes into sources of creativity and meaningful connection. And if this content sparks personal reflection or experiences in you, share them in the comments section. At the same time, if you want to explore deeper psychological secrets, untold stories about intelligence, emotions, and how humans experience the world, consider subscribing to the channel and following to not miss upcoming videos. This is a place where we discuss, learn, and find empathy for deep psychological experiences that we sometimes only realize exist in everyday life. Intelligence is not a burden if you find the right community, and this experience can become a source of inspiration, strength, and genuine connection in this complex world.